Good morning, I'm Jukkis, I'm from Finland. I'm an expert when it comes to takedowns, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to teach you better ways to learn and train takedowns. The class is called Ecological Takedowns. That's on you. I guess the ecological word is nowadays like a hyping. So we'll do that, and I'm fine with that. I like it. For those who don't know what the ecological stands for, go to internet. You will find a lot of information from there. I just briefly summarize it by saying that it's about learning by doing. That's what it's about, in a sense. There is also other methods, like in this learn by doing. The point is that I'm not going to tell you how to do things. It's up to you to figure out. But also there is another way of teaching, like when I focus on like giving you guidance on how to do things. Those can be technical details, conceptual ideas, or whatsoever. I call those best practices that I try to teach you. So I like both things. I think in order for you to do takedown, you need to have many skills, not just one. And the skills are different by nature. So there is room for both kind of methods. And this kind of hybrid approach is heavily used by many experienced coaches in BJJ, but also other sports that have similar characteristics. So that's kind of the idea. I'm gonna hopefully give you some ideas how to train better, motivate you to train the takedown game, because many people decide not to, because you don't have to. But I think that if you have correct methods in place, it definitely makes sense. And in order for you to be a well-rounded BJJ player, you need to know how to play the game from standing position too. Sepp is here with me, judo player as well. We are old guys, we take it slow. You decide how fast you go, but I mean, this is an info heavy session, but of course practical things will follow as well. Okay, but before we go to today's topic, I want to talk about like the reason why we learn takedowns or stand up altogether. Like if we like think about any jiu-jitsu match, sparring or fight, it always starts from standing. So that's why we need to know what we are doing here. And I kind of want you to think about it this way, that we as a BJJ players, we are experts on the ground. We want to get the game to the ground. So the outcome that we are after when we are standing is to go down in a way that it's good for us. And what I mean with that is that if you go there on your back, if after 10 seconds of fighting, we are like this, I'm happy, right? It's good for me. Or if it's like this, I'm happy too. But if it's like this, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm that happy, but especially if it's like this, not happy at all. So no matter how we get there, you need to think about the outcome. Like after 10 seconds or so, am I happy or am I unhappy? Like that's your kind of criteria of figuring out whether you are doing the correct things or not. Like oftentimes I ask the question of how many points you get the takedown in BJJ competition setting from the takedown. It's a trick question. You get no points on the takedown, but you get the points from the following control. So basically keep that in mind always. Like we are fighting for the head start when it comes to the BJJ game. And takedowns is definitely one way to get there. That's good. But those are kind of, for me, when I work like offensive game, but in stand-up there is also like the part of the game where I'm kind of playing the defensive game, which is pretty much equally important, but oftentimes less strange. We will not focus on that today. But what I mean with this is that, for example, a typical BJJ player is pulling guard from the stand-up, and I need to know how to play the game against that. or he's shooting or whatsoever. So those reactive skills are different kind of nature by nature. We don't train them today. Ecological approach works great there, so that's good as well. But today we are focusing on offense. So when I'm initiating the moves, I'm going to show you a game, like a sample game, so that you get the ideas that we are doing. But no matter if I'm playing the offensive game or defensive game, what happens in both cases is the grip fighting. And if I can kind of motivate you to do one thing, is to make the gripping your superpower. Reason being that no matter what happens in Jiu-Jitsu game, better grips are always a good idea. And like brief demonstrations about that. Let's say I get like very good grips like this from my opponent. Now you can imagine that what he can do there is like pulling guard. Not very good. He could also try to shoot a double leg. He could also try to do any takedown. But no matter what he chooses to do, or what I choose to do, better grip, I'm winning. And what I mean with the better grip is that it's not good enough for me to have a grip like this if the other guy is like take a belt grip with the other hand. If he is taking like grip like that. So I need to, have a grip, but the grip that I'm having needs to be better than his grip. So that's why we are starting the class with gripping. And after this gripping, we will go into some takedown sequence all the way, learn a couple of options, but let's do some first ecological drill or like a game to start with. And the game goes like this. Today's grip that we are going to use is going to be like this. I have a collar on the same side and sleeve from here. And in ideal situation, he has no grips. So this is where I start from. He might kind of have that, but that doesn't bother me much. And what he now needs to do is to get this kind of grip for him. And it's his choice. Yeah, it's just like that. So I take a grip, you go. And once it's here, it's my turn. Then I have this grip. Just like this. So just play with your partner. You need to end up with this grip. When you are here, then you can make a short pause. Now it's your turn. And we just keep on doing this until I say. So pick a partner, roughly the same size, get space for you, and start going. Okay. So we did that roughly 3 minutes or so, but as I was observing, I realized that many of you already noticed that if he has this grip over here, and I try to break it with one hand, it's difficult. Using two hands, it's easier. Also, like if he has a sleeve grip, many of you realized that, circulating your hand somehow is a good idea. And also if you can, use the other hand. So I don't need to tell you this. So basically just playing the game like this, you will kind of figure out what works. And pretty much equally important is that you learn also what doesn't work. So that's kind of the idea with this ecological thing, that you can kind of play around with this thing and you will learn about the problem itself as well. What is kind of good, what is bad when it comes to gripping. One of the things that you easily miss, and I saw many of you missing here, as well as that if you take this grip, and I go through the trouble of releasing the grip, then doing this is silly. So letting the grip go. So of course, when I get this grip, what I want to do is to keep that grip, because I will proceed like getting this. So it's like focusing on like the objective itself. We try to get the grips, not just break the grips. But breaking is important because if I only have good grips, kind of good ways of doing the grips, but I cannot take this grip to have a grip. If I cannot, remove this grip, I'm done. So basically I need to know both things. How to get the grips off, how to get mine. Now we can make this a bit more like kind of sporty game. You can kind of cool down if you don't want to do it too hard. You can do this full speed as well because there is kind of low risk of injury here. So we can now start without any grips and we just play the same game. I need to get this grip and hold on. The winning condition here is that when I get this grip, I need to move him a bit, just a couple of times. And if I can do that, I'm the winner. Then we do it again. And if I still win, I'm probably better than him, so let's give him some handicap. Which means that he, for example, gets to choose one grip, not just one grip, and we start from here. So this way, now we try to do, and if he now wins, good. We do another time. If he again wins, I get the handicap back. So if you win twice in a row, let's switch the handicap. The handicap is simple, just one additional grip. And then, of course, you can kind of then come up with the different handicaps as well. But typically, if you kind of start with this idea of giving some handicaps to the other person, you will make the game more even. And if it's totally different skill cap, he could already start from here, and he's trying to press the pull me right away, but okay, now he won. But you get the point. So the game is start from grip fighting without anything. Try to get the same grip, and 1, 2, 3, and then you are winner. And then it's the other one's turn. Try to use the same grip removal kind of techniques that you just realized working.
And was the intended outcome still just leave power control?
Yes. You can, of course, you could do obviously the same thing with any other grip.
Yeah.
But this time we just focus on this grip because we are building the game on top of this same grip. Okay. Ready? Go. Yep.
Easy with 2 hands.
Okay, that was again 3 minutes. It's quite exhausting, as you can imagine. And if you do this full speed, you can only do 10 minutes a week of grip fighting, and it's gonna be enough. But just do that 10 minutes every week. It's gonna help your BKJ tremendously. So now we go to the takedown itself. I'm gonna show the whole game we are gonna use today, and then we'll kind of take one of those techniques. We dive into little bit of details. But we start from this grip, and we do the one takedown that is often shown as the first thing that you should do, like Danaher and many other people, because it's so simple. We start from here. I step aside, pull my opponent to the ground, and try to make sure that I end up with a happy face in the end. So it's not just a takedown, but all the way to the ground. If I only have that technique, I'm gonna be too predictable, so let's add another one. So from the same grip, I go for the leg, and then try to do. Okay, really happy again. So another technique. And then we could also add a third one, if I don't feel like it. Ooh. I would simply go and play guard. If I pull guard, I'm pretty happy if I get the guard. So those 3 techniques are the game that we are going to play with today. But let's start with the collar track thing. So I'm starting from this setup. I step away, because I want to pull him on his face. I don't want to be here and pull him. You know, we exercised this a couple of nights ago. So, okay, so I take a step aside. I make sure that I pull him into this empty space, and after that, when it's here, I try to make sure that I win the following battle. 1, 2, 3. I'm happy again. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but let's first just all try to do this, and I will add a couple of pointers afterwards, but I will show one more time. Grip is this. Now do it without the opponent having the other grip, it's easier. Step here, pull him, and then do what you need to do in order to get the happy face in the end. Okay, go. Okay, good. Most of you know this, but there is still always a couple of things that is worth of kind of pointing out. You spread your legs a bit. Yeah. So when I'm gonna pull him on his face, it doesn't happen if I pull him, you know, this way down. Now it's just, you know, deadlifts up. That's not a good idea. So I need to make sure that I pull him that way. That way. And I don't do that with, you know, my hands because it's not strong. But I just, you know, hold on to him and I do it with my body weight. I need to just make sure that I pull him that way with my body weight. And I should not be this way, pulling him on top of me. This is what kind of, I saw a few people having this problem that you kind of do it like this and then you have hard time coming up. No. So you try to make sure that you are not on his way. So that's why you need to step here and you kind of need to think as you would be pulling your elbow to the ground. Like this way, not like this, but instead like this. So, like this. And also, if you see this leg coming over, I think it's a good idea to grab these legs because you can do so many good things with that. That's why I would focus on, that's up to you, you can do it differently, but I like to take the second leg because the following sequence becomes easier for me. Mm-hmm. But as long as you make sure you don't fall on your back, but you kind of focus on pulling the elbow down, use your body weight, and you are not in front of him, then you should be good to go. Now, let's add this ecological element to this as well. Like I said in the beginning, the outcome matters. So we just start with a friendly way of doing it, but let's consider that he has like a spring in his back, and every time his back hits the mat, or like he has the spring all over the place, so he can start escaping, but only when he's grounded. Take it easy in the beginning, but you can start adding more kind of resistance, and I get to kind of you know, make a free move to take him down, but then we fight for what happens after. So I need to learn how to finish this thing. So the idea is that we do exactly the same, but when you are on the ground, you can start escaping. Like that. No good. I end up in a 2-second arm bar. And that's why you need to train like this. You need to see if it works or not. So anything can happen. It can't be a card pass, it might be like side control, back take, mount, whatever. But add this element now. Like do the exact the same thing, but when he's on the ground, he starts to make like leader resistance, like to make it harder for you. And do it all the way until the game kind of freezes, and then you figure out whether you are happy or not. This way you kind of acid test this takedown, whether it makes the trick or not. Mm-hmm. So the same thing, but add this spring back kind of element into the end and see what happens. Okay, go. Not unhappy. So if you want to learn takedowns or any skill, you have to repeat it many times. And in order for you to repeat it many times, it needs to be safe enough that you don't injure yourself pretty much every time. So that's why we try to avoid the kind of takedown scramble that much. We kind of do the crit fighting first, then in cooperation we learn the takedown, and then we kind of fight for the end position. That's kind of a way how to make it safer. So now we combine these elements and make another eco drill which starts with the grip fighting. And once I get the grip, I kind of do the takedown. He doesn't resist that, but after that he's again allowed to escape. And remember that my game is to get this grip. If he gets a grip that it's not possible for me to get that grip, I need to, do what I need and start over. Okay, so let's talk how this works. Not that serious, but okay, now I have the grip. Now you let me take down. Now. Okay, semi-happy. So it's a full sequence. We fight for the grips. Once I get the grip, he lets me take down, and then we fight for what happens after. All good?
Yes, good.
Okay, go.
It's more dynamic on that.
Is that one
Luckily I did not.
So good. Now we learned the kind of skills that you need in order to make this full track takedown. Good. Except if you only have this, it's too predictable and it's therefore easier to counter for your opponent. We need to add something to go along. So let's kind of first do a technique to combine with this. And the simple choice is single leg. And let me show first. The idea is that if I tail with this and he starts coming up, start to come up. If I have this grip over here, I have a single leg. And now, of course, many things can happen here. I have different ways of taking him down, but again, the same thing. 1, 2, 3. I'm happy. So understanding that if this fails, it's good to have a technique that you can continue with. So then it's a combination, harder to resist. Single leg could be one option. That's why grab the leg. If he stands up, you have the single leg. So now let's say we chose to use single leg. The good thing is that single leg also works as an alternative kind of entry. So from the same setup where I was able to do the collar track, I can actually do exactly the same kind of entry, but end up getting his leg from here. Again, you can end up then getting the leg on different ways, but it's a single leg anyways. So you can kind of just simply step here, push him slightly and take the leg, or you can just simply push him, take the leg. It's not that difficult. The main point is that if I want to take this leg, I want to have his weight on the other leg. No, just stay there. So if I push him, this one becomes lighter, and I need to grab this leg before he steps back. So that's why I might use my own leg, make it easier. This technique entry is so easy that you can simply do it your own way, but let's do the same kind of spring back exercise again from here, that you get to do the takedown entry in your own way, and you get to do the takedown as you like, but he tries to refuse and see what happens. So, second technique that we now try, start from here, get the correct leg, and then it's up to me to figure out how to take him down. And now the game continues. Like that. Everybody knows single leg to some extent. So it's like easy thing for you to do, but this spring back thing is the way how you make sure that you get the outcome that you're after. Start from the same grip, take the leg somehow, take him down somehow, and try to make sure you are ending up in a favorable position. Okay, go.
So we basically, you get taken down with starting up. Yeah, that's it.
But you know what? Try to do the technique first, like the leg transfer.
I learned that when we do this kind of exercise, many people get surprised how difficult it is actually to finish the takedown. And that's why you should train this kind of thing. You should know, kind of, oftentimes when you see takedowns taught in a class, you just throw it over there and then you're happy, but the other guy's like already up. So you please make sure that you go all the way. When you're learning to take down, it doesn't help you at all if you don't control the game after. So that's why having this part in your training is very essential. Let's add one more technique, an idea everybody knows this, which is like the guard pull from the same grip, just like this. You can do it different way as well. But now we have a game for the collar grip with 3 different options. It's like collar track, single leg, or card pull. And again, the same kind of drill. I'm the person doing it, so I need to fight for the grips. He doesn't kind of let me have them, but eventually I will get them, and only then he lets me do one of the takedowns. It's up to me to do one, and I can try to figure out what works best in the situation. And after we end up on the ground, we fight for 3 seconds to see what happens. So now it's a kind of combined drill. We start with the hand fighting. Once I have this, I get to choose. Okay, now I went for this. Game over. Then I can choose like either of the collar track, single leg. I can do the collar track, ending with the single leg as a combination. Or if it turns out to be a bad idea, then I can pull card. So you can choose. But let's kind of keep it in these 3 at the moment and make it drill so that I do one, and then he does one, I do one, he does one. Make it look like it's a jiu-jitsu show, so it looks good. So it's a fight, but it's a realistic thing. Okay, let's go. One more drill. No. Any injuries?
Well, not today.
Not today. So that was 70 hours of jiu-jitsu takedown game, realistic drilling, no mentionable injuries. That's the point, that you should try to train the takedowns also safely, and doing it this way, you kind of lower the risk of injury. As you can imagine, this was just a sample game. It's the one that you can easily start with. But no matter what your takedown game is, what takedowns you do, it's the same process that we did today. You can still do exactly the same thing. And you can spice up with the games. You can make them more complicated. You can make them more specific. You can do whatever you like. But the point is that there was a lot of like a how from your part, not me telling how you do that. And that's the whole point of this ecological thing. So learn by doing. I saw a lot of learning by doing today. That's good. Hopefully you take some of that with you. When you go home, you train more clever, more efficiently takedowns, and you spend some time on takedowns, at least assignment, 10 minutes of grip fighting everybody, every week. That's a kind of must. Okay, so maybe final word is that we hear a lot about people talking about the ecological approach as a kind of alternative to like a traditional way of teaching. I would say they both have a room in this thing because like we discussed, you need to have many skills in sequence in order to make the takedown, and it would be stupid for me to say that the one method works for everything. That's like if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Basically, you should kind of understand what you are doing and then choose the proper kind of method to train that. And it's not always, one method. I would like to do questions and answers for the next hour, but unfortunately that's not possible. So you can pick me at any time. I will be here full camp, and I'm happy to discuss about this and also the theory behind the ecological approach. I don't do it in a class setting, of course. But I'm very happy to see that so many of you had actually keys with you because I didn't see those before, so keep them on. Good work. And I think we end up with like the group picture here, as always. And thanks for the class.